Okay, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. So thanks, everybody, again for joining us here on another episode of our FYI 2016 webinar series. Today we have Nuno Matias, who is the Consul General of Portugal in San Francisco, and he will be talking about the different consular services offered by the consulate, because a lot of people often have questions about, exactly what services is provided by the consulate and what can I do with them and how can they help me, things like that. They do have a website, thanks to Nuno, also a Facebook page, so encourage you all to visit these sites and poke around, and we'll actually review the website today on today's webinar. So I'd like to welcome Nuno Matias. Hi Nuno, thanks for joining us today.
Good morning, Angela. Good to be here. Thank you.
And so everybody, just a logistical thing, everybody's on mute only just to avoid any background noise. So if you do have a question, you can type it into the GoToWebinar console. And then if you think of a question afterwards, you can always send it to palcus@palcus.org and we'll get it over to Nuno and we'll make sure that we answer your questions via email. And so without further ado, I am going to hand the controls over to Nuno, and he's going to take us through the website and talk to us about the consular services at the consulate. Nuno, go for it.
Thank you, Angela. So I will show my screen now, and I'm assuming everyone is seeing now the web page of the consulate in their monitors.
Yep.
Is that correct, Angela?
Yes, I can see it. You might want to maximize the browser if you can.
Okay, sounds good. So one of the issues that I encountered when I was appointed here was the dimension of the area of jurisdiction of this consulate. We have the 13 Western states, and it's humanly impossible to reach out individually to everyone, every Portuguese American in this gigantic geographical area. So we have made big use of our technologies such as websites, Facebook pages to spread out the word, and we recently even launched a new application so that people can have all this information into their cell phones. And today I wanted to guide you a little bit in using these instruments, and especially the website. And this because we are currently experiencing a very high volume of service and limited staff, and so we are really unable to answer phone calls. And I want to stress this because it can be frustrating at times, and I want to really make sure that people get the best service as possible. And so we have reviewed our website, and we have included as much information as possible on the website so that people can, self-orient themselves on what do they need and then email us. We are assisting people through email. We make a point at answering every email that is sent to us within 24 hours, if not sooner. So please use your email and please use the website. So the website, if you go on the top right side, on the top side, you will see 4 icons. You will see the Facebook link, you will see the Twitter link, and you will see an American and a Portuguese flag. So these flags basically you can choose, you can alternate between a website all in English or a website all in Portuguese. As we're doing this webinar in English, we'll stick with this current page, which is in English. And so at the outset, I have here a small introduction message where I kind of mention some of what I already mentioned. And then on the left side, you will see a menu with a brief history of the consulate. The consulate has had many consul generals since 1907, and the most famous that we currently have in the an historical figure, and so that's why we put his picture here. And then we have another link on the left side, which is Meet the Team, where you can see those who work at the consulate, and you have a direct link to their emails. Actually, Chancellor Julia retired just recently, so her name is still here, but she's no longer with us. She's retired. But everyone else is here. Some are out on leave, but this is a team. Then following that, we have the contacts. This allows you to view where we are located. This is an important page because it will tell you the days that we are closed. And also it will tell you that we are only receiving by appointments only. We have changed this. Again, due to our limited staff, we are now closed on Wednesdays to the public. Does that mean that we're not working? We're fully working. We're doing back office related work, but we're not taking up public. So on Wednesdays, we do not see the public, but we're here working, taking care of all the processes. So by appointment only means that you will have to go online on this website and make the appointments, but I will talk about this a little later on. So this page, again, this is the contact information. You will find information on the days that we are not working. You will find information about our area of jurisdiction. You have a map here that shows you half of the United States is under our jurisdictions. It's a huge geographical area. And then you have the links to our honorary consulates where you can do some of the work, some of the consular work on limited basis, but they can assist you locally if needed be. So they're kind of antennas of what we do here. They help us do our service. And then finally, at the bottom of the page, you have a list, a notary list. This is important because a lot of people are sending us documents by email, and a lot of these documents can be validated through notaries that have been previously registered with the consulate. You have an extensive list of notaries here with their emails address, their phone numbers, and everything. So this is important information. So this is for the page of contacts. Then we go straight to the appointment. This, I think, the novelty of the current, a lot of people that have been using the service of the consulate throughout the years. This is an element that is still very new. We still get a lot of people who are not aware of this. And so it's important that you become aware that we're only accepting appointments. It's very easy to make an appointment. Basically, you follow the instructions. And you select what would you to do when you come for an appointment. For instance, if you want to come to do your ID card, you click on the ID card. And then once you click card, you will have a menu with the dates that are available. For instance, here we have September 12th. So you click on September 12th, and then it will give you a time. On September 12th, there's only one time available. That's 9 a.m. And then you will continue, and then from now on, you will basically fill in the
Oh, did we lose you?
mail confirming that your appointment is completed. So very easy. Just follow the instructions and go from there. But I think what's on the top menu here, you have the home menu, what we've been doing so far, and then the consular service menu, I think, is the most important menu that will be used by most of you. And at the outset, we have here on this first page, consular service, you have here again the notary list, and also we have here the consular fees. So if you press in here, you'll have an idea of how much it costs for every consular fee. So these are kind of the base elements. And on the left side, you see exactly what we do and what can be done. A lot of it can be done by mail. And that's what we call on the first consulate at home. This is this idea that A lot of stuff can be done by mail, and basically you just need is to send us the necessary documents, a letter explaining us what you want. And I'd like to emphasize this. We get a lot of people who just send us an envelope with a check or with something, and we have no idea what they want from us, you know, with just a check. Please take the time. It doesn't need to be typewritten. It doesn't need to be, you know, just a quick message saying this. Please find here with enclosed, you know, a check for this and that. And so we know and we're able to locate your process. It's important that when you send anything that you put your full name, your date of birth, so we are able to locate your case file. And we don't lose time going back and forth and emailing you back and so forth. So the Consulate at Home applies to every, when you go through these cases, I mean these process on the, and every time you see this little house, Consulate at Home, it means that you can mail in the stuff. For instance, let's go to Consular registration. Consular registration, you will see the little house and you will see the email. So you can do it either by posting a mail or you can send an email to us. If you want to go to another, for instance, marriage registration, again here you see the little house, meaning you can do this through mail. You do not required to come to the consulate. So it's important just at the outset to call attention to what is this meaning of this little symbol here, this little house. Basically shows that these are things that you can do from the comfort of your own home and just mail it. Follow these instructions, and we advise people not to send in cash. Don't send cash because we cannot be responsible for what happens in the mail. So be mindful of this message here that because we have such limited staff and so much high volume of service, the fact that you mailed in does not mean that your case will be, you know, taken up once we get it. We will evaluate it, see if everything is okay, and then we will put it on a pile by order of arrival, and it will be processed, you know, whenever the time comes for us to be able to process it. But it will be, you know, received, processed by order of it was received. So this is kind of the Consulate at Home overview, and again, everything underneath can either be done through mail or coming in person. Visas. No, sorry. Let's go to calendar of consular visits. This is another thing that we have implemented in the last 4 years, which is because, again, of the enormous geographical area that we have, we are actually visiting. The consulate is going to certain areas to visit, and we take our equipment so that we're able to do biometric collections, essentially for ID cards and passports, because those cannot be done by mail, because those require the in-person presence. We have established a calendar of visits, and so here you can find a calendar of all the visits throughout the year and where we're going and when we're going. And so in red are the visits that have taken place. Some of them have already been taking place. I see here in Artesia in late August this happened already. And so take advantage of these visits if it's the location you're in. Call the person. If you're in San Diego, call this person in San Diego and make sure that you have an appointment. Again, like the consulate, these consular visits require you to schedule an appointment. They get filled in very quickly, so don't wait until the last minute. Make the phone call, get yourself in line if you want to take advantage of these visits, again, in the Valley, or in San Jose, or in San Diego, or in LA. So here you have a good calendar and contacts for the people organizing locally these visits. So we've covered these two elements. Then visas. Here you have two sections on visas. I'm not going to take much time because this is something that mostly is of importance to those who are not American citizens, because Americans do not require a visa to go to Portugal for 90 days on vacation. So visits usually are requested by people who are bearers of passports that require a visa. But I mean, all the information on visas is here. Again, visas can be done in-house by appointment or by mail. Everything is explained here. And so if you want to do it by mail, it's explained here what are the conditions that you can do by mail. But I don't want to take too much time here because this is not really something that pertains specifically to our community. They do not require, most of them don't require visas. So the important element here I would like to start is the consular registration. I would encourage everyone who has a Portuguese passport or who is Portuguese to get his consular registration. It's very easy, just an email, free of charge. I mean, we can charge you $11 if you would like us to issue a registration certificate. That's not mandatory, that's not required. So easy to do, just send us an email with these elements and we'll have your registration done here at the consulate. Registration is important because then we know who you are, we have all the elements in case you lose a passport, in case there's a need to issue some sort of urgent document. We have elements here that will allow us to do so. So it's always good to have your consular registration. And on the same token, the electoral registration. So those who are Portuguese citizens should be registered to vote in Portugal. Again, this is free. We just need you. There's a form here online. You just click on this form. You just fill it up, and it will go straight to. It's a Google Docs. You just fill in this form. It's easy questions, and just send it, submit it, and that's done. Then we will send you by mail the formal request for you to sign, but it's very easy. And basically what it does, it really empowers the Portuguese community abroad because it gives this element of being able to vote in the elections in Portugal. But I think that's not really interests those who are listening to us are here the ID cards and the passports. A lot of people who require our services want to do their ID cards. Here, ID cards can only be done, again, you see these symbols, so we have tried to make these kind of appealing by appointment at the consular or by appointment at a consular visit. They have to be done in person. So here, you cannot do it by mail. You have to come in person. Why? Because we need to collect your biometrics. What are biometrics? Your fingerprints, your signature, your picture. Those are the biometrics that are collected with the machine that we have here on the consulate or by this portable machine that we take on our consular visits. So here are the costs. You can do it urgently or regular time, and the elements that are required to do the ID cards. Same thing applies for passports. Again, only at the consulate by appointment or on a consular visit. Passports require you to have had issued an ID card previously. So make sure when you apply for a passport that you have a valid Portuguese ID card. This is important. A lot of people don't know that, but this is a prerequisite. So when you make an appointment and we realize that you do not have a valid ID card, you will be required to do an ID card before we can process your passport. Usually, one appointment is sufficient to do both things. We found that it is not really necessary to make two appointments for the ID card and for the passport. One visit should be able to take care of both documents, unless it is the very first time that you apply for your ID card, and sometimes the passport will not go through. It needs first to have the validation of the ID card. And so sometimes we're able to keep
hope he comes back. Just 1 second, everybody. We'll try and troubleshoot here on the audio. Looks like Nunu was kicked off, so we'll wait for him to join us again.
Can you hear me?
Oh, you're back. Yay. Okay, great. Sorry.
Where did you lost me? What was I saying?
That the
where was I?
ID card needs to be validated.
Okay. So
do you want
to we've covered that.
Okay.
I wanted to go now to the citizenships. We go to citizenships, and here you have different options to get the Portuguese citizenship. The most common one, easiest one, is for those who are children of Portuguese parents. And this requires an appointment at the consulate because the form needs to be signed. And so these are the elements that are required. What we encounter here is most people forget, and that's what I want to emphasize, is the importance of having your parents' marriage certificate duly notarized in Portugal. If the parents' marriage is not registered in Portugal, we cannot establish, according to the Portuguese law, that you are the son of the daughter of that couple. So that needs to be done first before you can apply for your own citizenship. So again, all the elements are here. If you're encourage, of course, everyone to do it before they're 18 years old, because it's only $22. If you do it as an adult, the price goes up substantially. It's $273. So I encourage parents to register their children as Portuguese citizens at a young age and take that out of that process and not wait later. These are the requisites. Everything is self-explanatory. Again, if there is questions, doubts, please email us, and we'll make sure to reply to your email or to your questions. But this is pretty much straightforward. The other two more common requests that we have is the citizenship through marriage, and this is actually done by the person. So this is very important. This is mailed in directly to Portugal. We only serve as the consulate will only certify the American documents that need to be certified, such as the marriage certificate, the birth certificate, and so forth. So we go through this, and the FBI records. So we certify all the documents that are required. You need to come into the consulate, make sure that you sign the form in our presence, and that we validate all the documents. But then it's up to you, once you have all the documents, and we'll help you make sure that you have all the documents with you, then it's up to you to directly send it to Portugal and by mail, and then with the payment and everything. So this is for marriage, and the same thing applies through the grandparents. When you are trying to acquire the citizenship through your grandparents, the same process is that you will be basically mailing it directly to Portugal, but we will, at the consulate, will certify all the documents, all the American documents that need to be certified. So for the grandparents, it's important to stress out that the law has changed, but it has not been implemented yet. So still now, if you apply through the Citizenship for your grandparents, you will not be able to pass that on to your children. A new law has passed, but has not yet been implemented. So for those who are trying to get the citizenship in order to then pass it on to their children, I would probably advise to wait on the implementation of the law. Will allow that. It will allow those who acquire the citizenship to be able to pass it on to their children. As of now, that is not yet possible. So I would probably advise those who are willing to do that to wait a little longer and to be patient here. And then also here the possibility to acquire the Portuguese citizenship through the through your Jewish heritage. That's a law that was passed in Portugal. And so here the same thing, these are applied directly and we take care of recognizing the documents. Then the consulate issues certificates of all sorts, and they're here mostly for people who go back to Portugal with their furniture or their cars. Everything is explained here individually. We can issue certificates of birth. We can issue certificates of marriage. We can do marriage registration, which is a lot important. Mostly if you want to pass on your citizenship to your kids, you need to have your marriage registration done. So these can be done through mail. Divorce, this is something that we also get a lot. Divorce is not done through the consulate. We will again register or certify American documents, but basically you will have to hire a lawyer in Portugal and go through the process in Portugal so that it can be validated by the Portuguese courts and then by the Portuguese civil registry. Death certificates are free of charge and don't require you to come in. It's done by the mail. And then notarial services, also a lot of notarial services are available here. All of these can be done through mail. And finally, driver's license, criminal records, notary service. I mean, these are the main consular service that we handle here. And then the website takes you on to the areas of culture and education. We have a list of all the public schools in California and all the community schools that teach Portuguese. We have a list of all, I mean, those that we know of all the Portuguese organizations throughout California, and we also keep, we try to keep a cultural agenda updated. Then the other links is a link more on the economic side about investing in Portugal, where our economic department and our economic council, Felipe Costa, handles this area. But here you also have an access
We've lost Nuno again. We'll just wait till he comes back.
You lost me again.
There you go. Oh, you're back.
There you go. I'm back. So where was I?
You were talking about
investing in Portugal.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, then we have Portugal and San Francisco, which are, you know, some of the organizations that promote the link between Portugal and the Bay Area. Then we have a gallery of photos, and then we go back to contacts. So this is an overview of the website of the consulate. A final note to emphasize the importance of the appointments, and then here you have a link also to our app, where you can download our app, either both on App Store and the Google Play. And all of this that I've gone through is included this application, and then it makes it easier also to view all these elements, to have them on the palm of your hand, and to also receive from time to time some important notifications from the consulate on things that are going on. So the website is very easy to remember. It's Portugal in SF, portugalinsf.com, and our app is the same thing, Portugal in SF, but you have the links here for the App Store and for the Google Play. So maybe now we could take some questions. What do you think, Angela?
Sure. And one of the first questions you may have already addressed in your conversation about citizenship, but there was a question on the Facebook page about how one goes about getting their citizenship. Maybe talk about how long it typically takes, whether you're applying through lineage or through marriage, and the difference between those two, perhaps.
Yes, it is a lengthy process because it's a process that unfolds in two ends, our end and then in Lisbon at the civil registry in Lisbon. So we typically could take up to 2 to 3 months to process the application, and then once it's processed by us, it goes to Lisbon, and that could take up 6 months. So these are applications for those who are parents, children of Portuguese parents. So this is kind of the easy one. Those who are applying through marriage, through grandparents, they will basically do the application themselves. We will just process the documents in terms of certify all the documents, make sure the documents are legal documents, and will vouch the documents. But then it's each and every one will have to send in their applications, and so that's it typically takes the same amount of time. Through marriage, there is an element in the law that is always very tricky to establish, which is this effective connection to the Portuguese community. This effective connection is always difficult to prove. It's a rather subjective element, and so I encourage people to really pay attention to this point and join in as much information as they can in terms of language, in terms of cultural connections, in terms of reference letters, anything that can really vouch for the connection that they have with the Portuguese community, with Portugal, with the Portuguese cultural, all of those on that. You need to build up your case file here. Otherwise, what will happen is if the civil registry is not able to validate that connection, they will basically submit it to the decision of the court, the administrative court, and most likely the court will vote against it. So you will be offered the possibility to challenge that, and you will have to basically hire a lawyer to do that challenge within the Portuguese courts. But so to prevent all that, please include as much information as possible, and don't dismiss this as just one element. It's actually the most important element in the whole application. Of course, everything else is required, but everything else is more objective and straightforward. This is a little bit open-ended, and so this requires a little more attention.
Okay.
I think I covered. I mean, the other element, the dual citizenship through Portuguese parents, is a straightforward case. Doesn't require much. Doesn't have this element and for the grandparents, the other element that is sometimes overlooked is the fact that you are required to make proof of knowledge of Portuguese language, and so this goes through several options that you can prove that knowledge, and we will have a certification, possibility to do that certification here in California at Berkeley through our Portuguese teacher at Berkeley will be able to do those examinations. But yes, that's also an important prerequisite that sometimes people overlook, and without that, it will not be able to be processed.
Yeah, that's an important one, is the language.
Yeah.
We did get another question on the Facebook page that says, what are ways in which the consulate can provide support for someone hoping to move to Portugal who plans to purchase property and start a small business?
Well, the main, we have here a link on the web page on the home button. To the left, you will see Living in Portugal. This is a very important link. It will give you answers to a lot of the questions that people ask us, and just waiting it to download so people can see more or less. There's information on all the different this is an official website, and so you will have here moving to Portugal, the entry requirements, the residency requirements, the golden visa, buying a house, financial sector, wealth tax, so a lot of this, and then living in healthcare, international school, transport. So this website really answers a lot of the information. You're always welcome to send us an email with specific. We will try to answer it, but most the consulate, you know, what we do here in that regard, we will basically, when you move to Portugal for that longer period, you're going to be applying for a visa to go to Portugal. So you will select the selection, and you will follow the requirements that are here in the visa. Application for a Portuguese visa to Portugal for more so, and also the case of a retirement or a long stay, you will need to go through this process of requesting a visa. And so everything here again is on the website. If you have any questions, please email us, and we will try to answer your questions specifically. But this is where the consulate comes in, is issuing the visa. Then what happens in Portugal, and all the process is done in Portugal, and then you have this link here, Living in Portugal, and you have another link here called Visit Portugal. It's kind of a more touristic link, but also a useful link that can help those who want to visit Portugal. I mean, there's a lot of personal resources of people who experience that move, and we have also we can share those if someone wants to. We have a few links, personal people who underwent these personal voyages and transfer their lives to Portugal. I'll be happy to share those experiences. And sometimes it's useful because it gives you a first-hand account of the difficulties, of the challenges, of what they have to do to attain the process. This is a beautiful website about living in Portugal with stunning, but this is more of a touristic approach. The other one, Living in Portugal, is more hands-on onto what is required when you decide to go to Portugal. So.
Okay, no, that's great. I had been on your website and somehow I missed the Living in Portugal link, so that's a good resource to have. I didn't know that was there. So we have one more question that came in through Facebook, and it says, why don't we have a Portuguese American school the way there's a French American school in San Francisco? I don't know if you know the answer to that, but it was a question that we got.
Well, I would just go back to our website on the link that we have here on the education. It's a question of numbers. It has to do with numbers. We all know how California Department of Education works, and if the community has sufficient expression to justify opening a school, then that will happen. Portugal does not typically fund for that. The French system is a very unique system. It's semi-public, but they're basically private schools. So what we have is Californian public schools that will teach Portuguese, and then you have an extensive list here of California public schools that teach Portuguese, and many are to come. And you have is community schools that also teach Portuguese. So there's an array of schools that offer Portuguese teaching all over California. But again, it has to come also from that sense of, did I lose you? Oh no, sorry, I got a message. But it's if there is, a need in terms of numbers, then I'm sure the Department of Education of California will address it. And that's what happens with public schools. San Jose, for instance, I mean, there is over 100 people registered at the San Jose High School to learn Portuguese. So you have to show numbers that you are able to get then the service offered. And that is typical with everything.
Yeah, no, it's very true. So I guess if there's enough of us that want a Portuguese school in San Francisco, we'll have to band together and make it happen.
Yes.
So we have time for one more question, and then we'll wrap it up. And I'm not exactly sure what this person is asking, so Paulo, I know you're still on the line if you want to provide some clarification, but he asks, if I have an American passport, is it sufficient to have only to get the Portuguese ID card, or do I need the Portuguese passport? So I think what he's asking is maybe what are the requirements to get a Portuguese ID card? Do you need the passport, or do you need your citizenship first and then you get your ID card? How does that work?
Yes. So the passport it's understandable, and sometimes it's confusing. The passport is basically a travel document. Sometimes people confuse this and they think that a passport, it is a travel document. And so for you to get that travel document, you have to prove before that you're an American citizen, in case you have, an American passport. So the American passport in C does not grant you the citizenship. The citizenship was given to you prior to you getting the passport. The same thing applies with Portugal. You need to have the citizenship so that you can be issued a passport of that country. So you need to go through the process of the citizenship, and then either for your parents, either for the grandparents, marriage, or you were born in Portugal. You need to establish first, prove that you are a citizen of Portugal. Once that has been established and proved that you have a Portuguese birth certificate, the same way that you have an American birth certificate. You don't need to be born in Portugal to get a Portuguese birth certificate. Again, these concepts can be a little confusing. The birth certificate basically tells you that you are a citizen of that country. And so people who acquire dual citizenship will be issued, even if they get it at 50 years old, they will be issued a Portuguese birth certificate when they're 50. But it's, for all intended purpose, is a birth certificate. It's their Portuguese birth certificate. And so document, then you can access all other documents, such as first the ID card, then the passport. ID card, again, is a prerequisite after you get the citizenship to get the passport. So there's not really a possibility to jump on or get a fast track. You have to do the process the way it is.
Okay.
Was I clear?
Yep, he says you answered the question, so perfect. Okay, so I think
Wonderful.
That's it. So I'm going to go ahead and take back the controls and just wrap it up. Okay, Great. So we addressed questions, and so everybody, just so that you're aware, we did record this webinar, and it will be posted to our website as well as our YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and watch it, or if you want to share it with anybody, feel free to do that. Typically, PDFs of all the presentations are posted to our website and Facebook page as well, though with this one, since we went through a website, there will be no PDF, but again, the recording is still available. So please share it with your family and friends, and again, if you have further questions for Nuno or for Palkas, please let us know. If you are interested in sponsoring one of these webinars, it's great exposure to the community as we continue to garner views on our YouTube channel and our website. It is a free service to the community, and we try and share as much information about different organizations and initiatives as possible. And so far, our webinars have reached nearly 10,000 people, so it's a pretty good audience, and it continues to grow every day. So please contact us at palkas@palkas.org if you're interested in sponsoring an upcoming webinar. And with that, we'll say thank you, everyone, for attending. Thank you, Nuno, so much for your time. I know that you are very busy with your limited staff over there, but I think this is a really valuable thing for the community to have and be very clear about the services offered by the consulate. So thanks so much for taking the time to do this with us today.
Thank you, Angela, and I wanted to thank all of those who have listened to us and those who will listen to us. Thank them for their understanding of our limited resources and collaboration in using our website, in using our appointment service, in using email as a means to communication with the consulate. I want to thank them in advance for helping us give them the best service possible. Thank you all.
All righty. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your day, and until the next webinar, hope you do well. Thanks so much. Bye-bye, everybody.